Do you have any questions for me or for any of the folks who just spoke?
Are you currently investigating any other home warranty companies?
So I would say we don't have any cases right now at this level, but certainly I think it's fair to say that we have complaints that come in on the regular about home warranty companies. So obviously we bring these cases as we have the resources and as we discover that there's a sort of critical mass of complaints. Sometimes it doesn't even take more than a few, because we immediately can see that there's a huge problem. But that's one of the reasons we're here today, and I'm so glad you are all here today, because we need people to report to us. This started, obviously, not only seeing the New Jersey settlement back in, I think it was 2015. Was it 2013? Am I misstating that? But 2015, I think, was the New Jersey settlement, and then noticing that we had similar complaints. But we'll find out if we have any major investigations for you, and I'm wrong about that, correct?
Just to clarify, so this started in 2019 under Attorney General Kris.
Yes.
And this is the largest settlement ever, or just largest settlement with a home warranty company?
Largest settlement with a home warranty company. And what I would say about this is, yes, the late Attorney General Mark Brnovich filed the complaint in 2019. I believe they had done some discovery, probably using what we have a tool called a CID, a Consumer Information Demand, in the sort of months or years leading up to that. And then after that, it took a long time, because this is a company that threw everything under the sun at us in terms of delay tactics, fighting us in court in various ways. I won't get into those details, but that's why this case went on so long. And by the way, we were on the verge of and on the eve of trial, so we were going to trial. I think where's our attorneys this week, Mitchell? Would have been last week, and then we finally got into negotiations, and I think even arbitration, mediation on the case, and that's how this settlement, this record settlement, came about. Yeah, Barbara.
Any indication on how soon Arizona's can get their money back?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and there you can get a sense of it in the consent judgment and how the money is going to come in. My commitment to consumers is that we spend as much of the $11.8 million as possible on restitution to get money back to consumers in Arizona. Some of this will depend on how many people file and let us know that they're out there. But pursuant to the consent judgment, for instance, on the first day of each month following the effective date, defendants shall make a payment in the amount of $275,000 for 24 consecutive months, for a total of $6.6 million. The remaining balance, $5.2 million, shall be paid in monthly payments. So it will roll in. And then we are developing a process and a form that people can fill out on our website if they think they have been victimized by this. I am told that, because I thought you might ask this question, although nobody has yet, but that there are some, let me get the number. Because I had asked the total number of people that we believe bought choice home warranty policies. Sorry, Mitchell. What's the number again? Greater than 60,000 people bought these policies. Now, perhaps not necessarily all of them had to call upon the policy. Not all of them probably feel like they've been victimized, but that is the sort of universe of people who bought these policies in Arizona.
That's in that 10%
Yes, correct, yeah.
Does that include also the out-of-pocket costs for what they had to pay or just their premium?
I think it would probably be related to the cost of the policy, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. Stacy.
AG, hey, I wanted to ask, it strikes me that the New Jersey case that was settled in 2015 was some of the same complaints that this case was about.
Yeah.
You talked about like what's in place that, you know, they won't do this going forward, but like what's in place to hold them accountable to do that, given they're doing the same thing 10 years apart?
Yeah, well, there's some provisions in the consent judgment that get to that point. It's an excellent point. Obviously, we were very concerned about the fact that they continued to engage in this, allegedly engage in this behavior even after the New Jersey settlement, and that we were getting so many complaints in the state of Arizona. So there are provisions, for instance, that provision 14 in the consent judgment states that the parties acknowledge that the plaintiff, that's the state of Arizona, that's us, will monitor defendants' compliance by having our investigators, its investigators, pose as potential customers and interact with defendant salespeople without notice. So we will be checking up on them to make sure that they do not relapse into this bad behavior. And we'll obviously be looking for additional complaints coming into our fantastic consumer division and the folks who do intake of complaints on companies.
Why does it take so long for us in Arizona to take action? Like look, since it's already been accomplished, back in the East Coast of New Jersey.
Yeah.
It wasn't overlooked.
I think I will say I think that again it's interesting because a lot of the folks who started this investigation aren't even here anymore at the AG's office. So there's been a lot of turnover over the years, as there is in a lot of AG's offices. But I do believe that then Attorney General Mark Brnovich launched the investigation pretty quickly after New Jersey. I think it was probably in the 2016-2017 timeframe. And then there was a lot of it. There was investigation probably over the course of a couple of years, and then the office, frankly, under the leadership of here Mitchell Ali, who's one of our top attorneys in our civil division, really started to drive this forward, filed that complaint, and then there was just years of discovery disputes that frankly probably didn't need to happen. We had I think 6 or 7 instances where we had to file in court motions, discovery dispute motions. With this company, we had to move for sanctions, 6 to 7 motions for sanctions, correct? Yes, 6 to 7 motions for sanctions to get information out of the company. I mean, I can't tell you how proud I am of my team of lawyers here at the AG's office for not giving up on this case. There are probably, teams that would have given up on this case, just how hard it was. This was a grind. And they didn't give up and never stopped fighting in court. And now we have gotten to the point where we have a record settlement with this home warranty company that we're going to be able to get real restitution back to the victims who never should have been victimized in the first place.
Did you ever look at possibly banning them from doing service or I was just looking up when you were talking, I think Georgia had done that.
Yeah, I think one or two states have done it. Look, we think we have a good settlement agreement here that gives us the opportunity to continue to check up on them, to make sure that they are not engaging in this behavior anymore. The injunctive relief in this settlement is very strong. So look, leave that for a future time if that has to happen and the company continues to engage in this behavior. Certainly that's something that we could look at, but for now I think we have a strong settlement that again doesn't just ban them but also gets real relief, real monetary relief back to the victims. Excuse me. Sorry. Any other questions while I break open my soda water? Yes, yes, sir. Oh, yes.
With respect to a comment on supplemental coverage, when one takes out policies with the choice of warranty, in my particular case, it was a 6-year policy, first year free. This is the George Foreman presentation on television. After the interaction I had with them, I canceled the policies after the first year, so I had an interaction. I canceled it, paid the fee for cancellation, never was reimbursed the balance that was due to me over the subsequent years. So possibly, if there's any kind of resolution, not only should be the actual damage to the equipment and repair costs, but also for people that paid the premiums, terminate the contract and would never reimburse the balance of the premiums. So that probably should be factored, whether through you or the Better Business Bureau, I don't know. That's something that I think you should consider, not just physical damage to the equipment, but also for reimbursement of premiums that were paid and terminated, but never replied by the government.
So thank you for that suggestion. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you so much. And thank you for your service.
Well, I think you represent.
Yes, you do. You have a fabulous son. I will definitely take that under advisement. Great, interesting idea. I will say the way that the agreement is structured has a lot of flexibility for our team to be able to work out the restitution and how we do that. And again, some of this will be determined by who comes forward, what their claims are, and all of those kinds of things. So I think we've got a really good, flexible plan that gives this amazing team of lawyers from our office the ability to think these three things through. So, yeah, Wayne.
I have an off-topic.
Okay, sure.
Pinal County supervisors have asked your office to look into some allegations against the county attorney. I wonder if you can say whether you plan to take that request and provide any details.
Yeah, so we're looking at that. I would say we'll have more for you on that later. One complicating factor, I think, would be the fact that he apparently mentioned me in those signal chats, so we're looking at whether that sets up a conflict of interest for my office.
What did he say?
I mean, Stacy, I don't pay that close attention to what Brad Miller has to say, but something nasty. I don't know. Something nasty enough for it to possibly be a conflict, Craig.
Couple questions. One, your thoughts about 12 News having to sue the state treasurer and the state superintendent in order to get basic public records about how ESA monies are spent?
I think it's ridiculous and outrageous that Channel 12 is having to sue both the state treasurer and the superintendent for these records. It seems to me obvious that they are public records. And I will say, after I saw your last report, I immediately contacted my Solicitor General and others on my team to discuss what we can do. And, the people of Arizona have a right to know how their taxpayer dollars are being spent. And I am super proud of your outlet for staying on that case and for, you're obviously having to expend a lot of money on lawyers to do that work. And so, what I would tell you is we are actively looking at what role I can play in jarring loose those records. At a minimum, people have the right to know whether and how that money, whether that money is being spent on diamond rings, flat screen TVs, lingerie, and how much of it is being spent on those inappropriate items. And then, yeah, I would say that. So I would look for something from us in the next couple of weeks. And as you know, we have an ongoing public monies investigation into the superintendent of public instruction on this issue.
Can you talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't finished it. We have been in communication with Tom Horn's office about his practices and his, audit definitions and, how he can tighten things up. But as you may know, we sent him a letter, I think last week, asking him a series of questions, I think 7 to 10 questions, and whether or not I sue him will very much be determined how he answers those questions.
Okay. The other question I had,
Yeah.
a colleague of mine, where are you at with the investigation into Governor Hobbs and the alleged pay-to-play issue?
Well, so what I would say is it's not complete. We are taking that investigation very seriously, and we are working with Rachel Mitchell and her office on this case now. So this is I don't know if you want to call it a joint investigation or whether she would call it a joint investigation, but we are working with her. As you know, it got sort of double referred to my office and her office. So we're now working together, and we'll have something for you in the near future. Yeah. Barbara, can I come back to you, and then we'll go.
I wanted to ask about current public nuisance litigation against Fondamonte and why that's important to continue despite the AMA.
Yeah, when we made a filing in that case in the last few days, it's important because while the AMA is a positive step forward, it is not going to make whole the people in the Renegris Plain and La Paz County who have been directly harmed by Fondamonte's massive water withdrawals so that they can grow alfalfa and send it back to Saudi Arabia. And we laid those points out to the court, and we feel very confident in that filing. We feel confident that we have shown that in fact, in some ways, it's very important for our lawsuit to move forward because it will instruct the AMA in the sense of if a judge determines that Fondamonte's withdrawals are illegal under the nuisance laws, that those should not be allowed to continue under the AMA, or at least at the level that they are. So we made a strong showing, we think, that the nuisance lawsuit there needs to move forward.
Just one follow-up. Are there any other areas you're looking at public nuisance litigation? I know there's a few, like town halls and stuff.
Yeah, there are actually. Funny you should ask. We're looking at nuisance law relative to ADI's proposed aluminum smelting facility in the middle of Benson, which is just across the street from a nursing home facility and very, very close to Benson's only public schools. Both, I think it's because I was there for a town hall. It goes from like kindergarten all the way through high school, right next to this proposed smelting facility. So we are examining that, as well as we were referred some open meeting law possible violations by folks in the area. That's an area that we're looking at with a nuisance lens. And then I just sent a letter to Kristi Noem I don't know if you have it yet, but if you want it, we can get it to you. I have it here with me. Related to the proposed surprise detention facility for ICE. We sent this letter yesterday, and noting that even Congressman Paul Gosar asked a number of questions about the suitability of this facility for surprise. And quite frankly, when I read Congressman Gosar's letter, it struck me that he was asking the kinds of questions that go into a possible nuisance lawsuit. And so some of the questions that we have asked about this 7 football field sized essentially prison that they want to plop down in the middle of the city of Surprise, that they claim is going to house 1,500 people. One has to ask the question whether it's going to be more than that, given the size of this facility. But we've asked questions in our letter please tell us whether you have adequate sewage facilities for that warehouse. Obviously, it was not originally designed to hold 1,500 people. We've asked questions about traffic design and the amount of new traffic that would occur in that community. I've asked about the appropriateness of putting a facility like that right next to schools, including a high school that is, I think, majority Hispanic and Latino. All of those questions would be related to a potential nuisance investigation on this facility under ARS 13-2019, which states, as many of you know, probably by heart, given my utilization of the nuisance statute, it states, quote, that I have the authority to compel the abatement of activities considered a nuisance due to being, quote, injurious to health, indecent, offensive to the senses, or an obstruction to the free use of property that interferes with the comfortable enjoyment of life or property by an entire community or neighborhood or by a considerable number of persons, end quote. And I would also note that it appears that ICE and DHS did not even bother to coordinate with the city of Surprise on this facility or ask any or discuss any of these issues with the city of Surprise or the community. Barbara.
Okay, great. Yeah, and since that topic has been raised, let me ask it along this, because I was watching something about this last night, and I got to thinking, can't they just claim eminent domain? Explain why maybe they can or cannot do that, and I do have a question on my other topic.
You mean can't the federal government?
Yeah, just
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, someone was mentioning to me that they were claiming, federal zoning supremacy. I don't even know what that is. But anyway, it's interesting. Maybe there's some obscure use of federal zoning supremacy. It's weird to me that this administration just flat out doesn't believe in the 10th Amendment anymore. And frankly, doesn't seem to believe in the Constitution anymore, and is violating it left and right. So we do have the 10th Amendment. We have states' rights. As your Attorney General, I have been defending states' rights basically since I got here, but especially in the last year. So I don't know. We'll see what they have to say. I do note in the letter, however, that Kristi Noem, in her own communications, noted that they work within state and federal regulations and laws. So if she intends to work within state laws, then I would assume she's not going to have a problem abiding by our nuisance law. Yes. Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
sure. Follow up, Barbara. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And speaking of ICE, I don't know, I imagine that maybe your office is at least attuned to the casual talk about sending ICE agents over to polling places. I would imagine that you would have to take them seriously to some extent, even though it's not coming from the White House, but just your thoughts on that. How closely are you watching that?
Very closely. And I can tell you Arizonans are following that very closely. Obviously it was, as I understand it, Steve Bannon who made the comment that they intend to send ICE agents to patrol election sites and voting sites. What I would say, if that, and then of course I noted with great alarm the president himself saying that he wishes that in 2020 he had sent out the National Guard to seize election machines. I think you have to take those kinds of comments very, very seriously. And I promise the people of Arizona and America that this Attorney General, this Governor, this Secretary of State will do everything in our power to prevent the federal government from seizing election machines, from sending ICE agents to intimidate voters, and from violating the long-held and constitutional right of states to hold their own elections. And so, rest assured that we are having conversations about this, and we will be ready for any attempt by the federal government to do any of those things. And it's shocking that those things are being said.
Gentlemen, one more on the ICE topic.
Yeah.
I know you've addressed this before, but the House, I think last week, moved to censure you over what you said about stand your ground laws. Can you respond to the House resolution specifically and tell us what, if anything, can actually come of that? I think it's still sitting in front of us at the moment.
Well, here's what I would say. These are the same people who tried to impeach me for holding too many town halls. So I don't take what they say very seriously. And what I do take very, very seriously is that my focus is on safety, the safety of law enforcement officers, the safety of the public, the safety of everyone in Arizona. That is why I have been so concerned about how ICE operations are being conducted. When federal agents enter homes without judicial warrants, bust down the doors of American citizens mistakenly. That's what they did in Minneapolis last month. They create dangerous situations for everyone. They put themselves at risk, they put the public at risk, and they put local law enforcement at risk. And I have always supported law enforcement in the state of Arizona. My office works every day on prosecutions and investigations with our sheriffs, our local police departments, and state and tribal partners to keep Arizona safe. And we are going to continue to do that. So I'm going to do that while they play politics. And, what I would say is I think the people of Arizona stand with me on this. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for today. That's a lot of information.
I know. We covered a lot. Yeah.
A whole lot. We appreciate your hard work and you fighting. And people in Australia, they adore you.
Oh. Got to get to Australia. Maybe after the election, but.
My question is, I know he was joking. He said he's going to cancel the election. The president of the United States in a private room, and they denied it, obviously. And this is not something like you joke around with because at the end of the day, you're the president. So do you think there's some lean to it over, or just like a jab?
It's hard to tell with this guy. But it's just outrageous that any president of the United States would joke about canceling elections. We're not canceling elections, okay? Over my dead body are we canceling elections in Arizona or anywhere else, and every Democratic AG believes that as well. This is also a guy that came out and said, that he wants to sort of take over elections in 15 states. Well, what's that about? Which 15 states? Why? Again, we will fight that. We've already fought him in court. over his efforts to his executive order on federalizing elections. As you know, he is trying to get election data from the state of Arizona. Secretary Fontes and I are again in court fighting that. And we will continue to protect our elections in Arizona and protect the privacy rights of every Arizonan.
One more question.
Yes.
I think Stacy has a question.
Stacy?
I'll wait.
Okay.
Has your office looked into the Chandler Jazz Festival fraud case?
We continue to, yeah. That is, I think, something that we are looking at, and we can follow up with you on that. Certainly, anytime people were promised, a concert or a festival like that, and then didn't receive the benefit of what they paid for, we're interested in that, and we're interested in having people send us their complaints so we can know more about who we need to try to get restitution for. Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate you being here.